Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about circles, and we're going to identify special segments and lines of a circle. So mostly this is going to be about definitions, okay? So I would suggest you draw a circle, and we'll just start building the definitions from there, okay? Now, a circle. So what is a circle? How would you define it? A circle is a figure whose circumference is equidistant. All points are equidistant from its center P. Okay? So it's a figure whose circumference, which is the outer line graph, is equidistant from a center point P. Now, we talked about a couple things there. We talked about the circumference, we talked about circle, and we talked about center point. So let's go ahead and just briefly explain those. Circumference and center point. So all those things are important. The circle, again, is that figure here. The circumference is the outer part of the circle, and the center point is called P. All right. Now, there's a couple of other lines and special segments that are important to do here. Now, any point from the center to the circumference, okay, is called a radius. And any point from here to here, for example, or from here to here, or let's just say from here to here, those are all radii. That's the plural form of radius. All right. Now, another definition. If you start at one end of the circumference, the graph, and you go through the center point and completely in a straight line out the other end, you have what's called a diameter. Okay, so that really doesn't look very straight, but just assume that it is, okay? There's a center point. We'll just call that line a straight line, a diameter. You also have congruent circles. By the way, the symbol for circle is this. Okay? So you can actually just say circle, whatever the thing might be, circle P with a center P, that sort of thing. Now, what's another definition? If you have a radius, the tangent is a line that is perpendicular to that radius, okay? So the tangent is a line that is perpendicular to the radius or to the diameter, okay? It forms a 90-degree angle. So that's another definition that you probably should know. So that's a tangent. A chord, C-H-O-R-D, is a line that connects two endpoints of two radii. So that would be like a chord. This would be a chord. This would be a chord, etc., etc., okay? A secant is a line that intersects the circle in 2 points. So, for example, if I were to draw a straight line through here, that would be a secant, okay? And that's spelled S-E-C. So remember, a chord is a little bit different from a secant. A chord connects two endpoints, all right? There's a line segment that connects two endpoints that are on the circumference. But a secant is actually a line that intersects the circle at 2 different points. Now, the question is a chord also a secant? It would be if it continued, okay? If it continued like that, then it would be a secant. But otherwise, the chord is just that part in the inside part. Okay? So now that we've gone through all of those definitions, let me give you an example of how this might actually work in a problem. Let's say I have a circle. Not the best circle, but you kind of get it. There's the center point P. Well, actually, we'll call this center C. Let's draw a secant that goes through. We'll call this point up here K. Let's call this intersection point B. Let's draw a diameter. Remember, it has to go through the center. And let's extend that line. We'll call this intersection A. We'll call this one D. We'll call the point where this radius or this diameter and this secant intersect. We'll call that J. We'll call this intersection H. Let's draw a tangent line. Remember that this tangent line would be perpendicular to this radius right here. Or another way of looking at it, it only touches the circle once. That's another way of doing it. We'll call that point F. Let's call this G. And let's call this E. Now, identify the different parts here using these line segments. Okay? So, identify a secant, identify a diameter, identify a tangent, identify a chord. Give you a second to do that. I'm sorry, there we go. A little bit. Sorry, that was off for a while. So let's identify these. A secant. So which one would you say? Well, actually, let's do with the chord first. Start at the bottom. A chord would be line segment BH. Remember how you do line segment. The tangent would be line segment GE. Could you say line segment GF? Maybe, or FE? Maybe, but the better one is actually GE. Okay. Diameter would be line segment AD. And the secant would be line segment KG. If you want to do some more, what's the radius? Find a radius. Find the center. Okay. The center would be point P. A radius could be AC. Line segment AC. Could be line segment CD. All those would be secants, radii. Okay, I hope that was helpful in terms of describing the different parts of a circle. Okay, make sure you know them. Again, a circle identified like this. Circumference, the outer side. Center point in the middle. Radius, anything from the center to the outer edge or to the circumference. Plural is radii. Diameter goes all the way from one end through the center in a straight line to the other end, to the circumference. Remember that a tangent creates a perpendicular line, with a radius. And it touches the circle at one point and one point only. Remember, a chord is a line segment that connects 2 points on the circle. And a secant is the line segment that goes through the circle itself. Okay, intersects at 2 points. Hope that was helpful.